Hello everyone. So today we are going to discuss about functions. Okay. So what are functions? So nothing functions are nothing but a set of rules which associate the element of one set to the other. So we can think functions like a specific equations, a group of equations which denotes about the relationship between x and y. So see, some are explicit, some are only equations. Some comes into the both categories, functions and equations, and some are only functions. We cannot tell them in the equations. We will come to that more on later. Okay, so functions are nothing but are a type of equations or equations which denotes the relationship between the x and y. Okay, they takes an input x, process it in the function f of in the form this in the f of x. So f, okay, I input x, it processes and then gives me answer as y. Okay, so these are my this is a function in simple terms. It takes an input, process it, and gives me output. So to understand it, so I have taken an example to understand about functions. So what I have defined, so if x is even, so if my input is even number, then my output will be x square. So see, let's understand through this process only. Okay, so x, here my x is what? Even. So if my x is even, my input is even, then it will go into the function f of x, correct? So even number goes, and what it process and what it produces what? X square. So this is my f of x or y. Okay, so in simple words, this process is happening in functions. Okay, so if x is even, if my input is even, then it is going to produce x square. If it is odd, then it is going to produce not x square but x plus 5. Okay, so I hope you get it. Little bit about basics. Now let's discuss about it further on more. Okay, so more on basics. So what is not a function? So the one thing here we have to understand that each and every input has only one output in the function. Two inputs can have a same output, but one input cannot have two different outputs. Okay, one input can only have one input. So in that case, it is not going to be function if there are two outputs for a one input. Okay, so like this, in this is a circle equation, you know, that is x square plus y square equals to 1. So this is not a function. This will come into the category of equation. This is the equation, right? So for example here, 0.5. So 0.5 has two outputs here. You can see this also, this in the positive side and this in the negative side. So this is not a function. So every input in a function has only one output, or else it is a relation. So if one input has two outputs, then it is not a function but it is a relation. Okay, so a relation can have this property or facility, but in a function it is not the case. So but two distinct inputs can have same output. Okay, so here input have two outputs, hence it is not a function. So x square plus y square, it is not a function. So we can observe here 0.5 has two different outputs, or we can also think it like a machine. So okay, we will come to that more on later. I don't think now here we need that. So I hope you have a little bit clear about function and its notation, so how it is processing and giving output. Now interval and interval notations, this is important to understand to define the range and domain. So this, I have a number line. So if I am defining minus x minus 3 greater than minus 3 less than or equal to 2, then indeed how can I express it as? If I am defining it as less than or equal to on the both sides, then it's closed interval. Okay, denoted by this box bracket. So like here, then in the number line I will highlight this also. Okay, minus 2. So this is the way. Okay, this is the way to denote that I'm also including minus 3 and 2. this is a closed interval. In open interval, I will do like this. Okay, I will not shade completely. I will keep open them, and then I will draw it to indicate that I am not including them. It is just only greater than here, not equal to. Another way of defining it is like this: -3, 2 in the in the closed brackets. Okay, or I can also define it in like this, in a set. We, as you know, set builder form or roster form as we like it. So x belongs to R, okay, such that x belongs to a real number such that x is greater than -3, less than or greater than or equal to, or less than or equal to 2. So there are many different ways, plenty of ways to define it. Okay, we can also have a completely shaded bracket on one side and a hollow bracket or not shaded bracket on other side. So this can also happen. Or yeah, this is also interesting case. Here everything is completely shaded except this -1. So this x takes all the values except the -1. Except -1, it takes all the real numbers. Okay, so to denote that we do not like this. Only it has this hollow bracket on -1, but all the other areas are completely shaded. Okay, so I hope you understand that. Now let's understand about the equations versus functions. So now these are a type of expressions which are completely equations. Okay, so now here in equations I am defining about equivalence, like x plus 5 equals to 10. So what will be x, 5? So it's like defining about equivalence, so they then both be equal, right? So this is going to be equation, right? So x plus 5 equals to 10, but this is not a function. So in function it denotes x and y relationship. As what happens as I increase or I decrease x, what happens to y? But some like y equals to x plus 5 are included in both equations and functions. Okay, and like this. So this is, see, this is function can also be defined in this way, that if x equals to 2, then f of x will be 5. So let's see, x is my input. If it is going to 2, so if my x is 2, f of 2, then it is going to produce what, 5. Else it is going to produce f 0. So else except x, so I can also denote it like this, r minus x except x, it's going to produce for every input 0. So these like this things only come into the category of functions. Okay, so I hope you understand about equations versus functions. Now further we have a domain of a function and a range of a function, so which is very worth understanding. What is a domain of a function? So domain of a function is a set of all the valid inputs. It is a set of all the valid inputs of a function in a function. So for example, if I have defined function as f of x equals to 1 upon x, say, then here all inputs will be valid except x equals to 0. If I input x as 0, then it is 1 upon 0 and it is not defined, right? So except 0, all the other values are valid inputs. So this is my domain, all real numbers except 0. F of x equals to x, here all the real numbers are valid inputs, there is no problem. Further, f of x equals to x square, f of x equals to x cube, domain is all the real numbers. So it is set of all the valid inputs. Okay, so you can also think like a function as a machine or a machine. So in a machine, if I will give correct input, then it's only going to produce output, otherwise it will not, right? So for example, in a juicer, if I will put fruit, then only it will give me fruit juice. If I put, say, stone, then it's not going to give me anything. Okay, it will not work at all. So it's like this only, valid inputs is important. So like y equals to x square, So I can input any stuff to get output as x square. So domain x belongs to all real numbers, but 2 upon x, input can 0? No, for input it is not defined. So except 0. Another thing is what root x minus 2. So what will be the domain of this function? Will it be all the real numbers? No, right? For example 1 cannot be the input here. So if it is 1, then it is going to be negative 1, right? So a radical negative number under radical, it now belongs to imaginary numbers. Okay, so we are not dealing with that. Okay, so basically here all the real numbers will not be valid input. Okay, so valid input will be what? X minus 2. Our main goal is what? It should be greater than at least 0. 0 will be okay, or greater than 0, but not negative numbers. So x will be greater than or equal to 2. So this will be my valid domain of the function. Okay, so you can also try it out here. What is the domain of function? So see, this function is defined from minus 6 to 7, right? So this is all the valid inputs here from minus 6 to 7. Okay, so now up to this we have discussed about domains. Okay, now further we will discuss about range. Okay, and then we will discuss about different types of functions. Okay, thank you.